Breakthrough Media.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes. I didn't have time to write a fancy speech. I didn't have time to, I didn't have the resource of an English teacher to sit down and write a speech with at school today and be brought over here, practice or anything. What I really came down here for is this. I've heard a whole lot of people in here talking tonight about this group and that group, and domestic violence, and blacks, these minorities and that minority. What I want to know is, when are you all going to start standing up for the majority? And here's who the majority is. I'm the majority. I'm a law-abiding citizen who's never shot anybody, never committed a serious crime, never committed a felony. I've never done anything like that. But it seems like every time we have one of these shootings, nobody wants to put the blame where it goes, which is at the shooter's feet. You want to put it at my feet. You want to turn around and restrict my right, constitutional right that's spelled out in black and white. You want to restrict my right to buy a firearm and protect myself from some of the very people you're talking about in here tonight. It's ridiculous. I don't think Rod Serling could come up with a better script. It does not make any sense. The law-abiding citizens of this community and many communities around this country, we're the first ones taxed and the last ones considered and the first ones punished when things like this happens, because our rights are the ones that are being taken away. That's the reason why I came down here today. Gun show or no gun show, NRA or no NRA. I'm here to stand up for the law-abiding citizens of this community, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You can take the guns away from us all you want to. You all write a law, I follow the law, I'll bring my guns down here, I'll turn them in. But here's what's going to happen. The Crips and the Bloods on the other side of town, they're not going to turn their guns in. They're going to hold on to them. And what's going to happen when you have to send the police down there to go take them? The police can barely enforce the law as it is. As what I see, we demonize the police, criminalize and vilify the police, and we make the criminals into victims. And we're talking about restricting guns? How are you going to do that? How are you going to do that when the police department's already hamstrung? You're not going to be able to go down here and take these guns from these criminals. So the criminals are going to hold on to their guns. They're still going to have them. They're still going to break in my house, and they're still going to shoot me with them. And guess who's going to be the one that suffers? It's going to be me. Well, I'm here to tell you tonight, it is not going to happen without a fight. And when I say fight, I don't mean shots fired. I don't mean fist thrown. I mean, I'm going to come down here to this city council and raise hell just like these loonies from the left do until you listen to the majority of the people in this city. And I am the majority. The majority of the people in this city are law-abiding, and they follow the law, and they want their constitutional right to be able to bear arms. They want to be able to go to the gun show and buy a hunting rifle or a sport rifle. There are no military-grade weapons sold at the gun show. An AR-15 is not a military-grade weapon. Anybody that would go into combat with an AR-15 is a fool. It's a semi-automatic .22 rifle. You'd be killed in 15 minutes in combat with that thing. So we need to dispel all these myths, and we need to drop all this division that we got going on here. Because the bottom line is, when that Second Amendment was written, whether the framers liked it or not, they wrote it for everybody. And I am everybody. And the law-abiding citizens of this city are everybody. And we want our rights, and we want to keep our rights. And by God, we're going to keep them. Come hell or high water.
Boom. Yeah.
Great, and which is why I brought in just a whole bunch of different people to
Hello.
Hello. So we're gonna have you sit in, and we're gonna have you reading real facts from the teleprompter. So what we're doing today, is exciting. We're gonna have you reading from the teleprompter. These are real facts. These are all true, well-researched facts about gun control.
Okay.
So, and you're gonna be reading facts about gun control.
Okay.
So is it going to come up in front of that lens? Will I will be seeing it? Okay.
Yeah. So like here's how it'll look.
Did you know, according to the CDC, there were roughly 38,000 gun deaths in 2016.
2/3 of them were suicides.
There are over 300 million guns in the United States.
There are over 5 times more murders by knives than by rifles.
The U.S. has the highest gun ownership rate in the world, but ranks 28th in gun murders.
That's a rate of 2.97 deaths per 100,000 people.
Handguns are responsible for more than 80% of total mass shootings.
Between 1993 and 2003, gun ownership increased by 56%, while gun violence decreased by nearly half.
Since 1950, nearly all mass public shootings have occurred in gun-free zones. That's crazy.
From 2013 to 2015, the 6 states that banned open carry actually experienced higher rates of police death.
86.4% of 20,000 police chiefs and sheriffs support concealed carry and are overwhelmingly against further gun control.
Those that have concealed carry permits, on average, commit less crime than police. Imagine that.
Yeah, what does that mean?
There is a clear correlation between higher firearm ownership and reducing police killings.
Switzerland, a nation of about 8 million, is armed with an estimated 2 million guns in circulation with limited gun legislation.
Switzerland's overall gun homicide rate is practically zero. Gun ownership does not correlate with the homicide rate.
Interesting. I just kind of blindly chose a side on the whole issue without really thinking about facts.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, for me, I don't really go to the main news sources because a lot of it's always pushed by an agenda, you know what I mean? So, to get the real facts, you always have to do more research.
I mean, it definitely makes me want to do more research about everything that's happening right now with gun violence.
It's interesting to actually take the time and see what the facts say as opposed to what I personally feel.
I didn't know a lot of that. Pretty much all of it.
Gun control does not really mean crime control.
They're really worried about controlling guns, but it's not really up to the guns itself that's gonna cause harm to people. It's really about the bad people.
I mean, it boils down to people, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, facts are facts, so.
There are over 300 million guns in this country, with over 300 million people. Some of those people are evil. And evil people are a resourceful bunch who know how to commit evil acts regardless of any laws in place to prevent them from doing so. Yet, we childishly cling to gun control as the only answer to deal with this evil. While our kids go to unprotected schools with unprotected teachers and unprotected classrooms, and then are confused when our kids get slaughtered by evil people who consciously break, or in some cases, pass every law to do it. Laws only matter to the people willing to obey them. Depending on laws to prevent random acts of murder is delusional at best and suicidal at worst. You can't legislate evil. That's the equivalent of holding up a no biting sign in front of a rabid dog and expecting it not to bite you. So instead of wasting time adding more words to our no bite sign, how about we focus on how to stop the evil when it arises? Gun-free zone signs don't keep guns out of schools, especially guns in the hands of mass murderers who aren't fazed by signs telling them they're not supposed to bring guns into schools. But you know what does? Metal detectors. Put metal detectors in our schools. You want to know why they have metal detectors in courthouses, airports, and stadiums? Because it prevents mass murderers from getting guns into these places infinitely better than a sign on a window. And if a mass murderer does try to bring a gun into a school and sets the metal detectors off, guess who should be there ready and willing to stop them? Armed guards. We use armed guards at banks, armed guards at jewelry stores. We use armed guards to protect everything we consider valuable. I can't think of anything more valuable than our kids. There should be surface-to-air missiles in front of our schools as far as I'm concerned, so armed guards shouldn't even be a question. Hell, after Columbine, I think our schools should look damn near like the X-Men Academy. These are our kids, the future of our society. There's nothing more valuable. And in the worst event that somebody gets past all of these things, the last layer of defense against these psychos should be our teachers. Let the teachers be armed if they want to be armed, instead of forcing them to become defenseless human sacrifices that still result in kids dying. Give them the power to fight back so that they can defend the kids you entrusted to protect their minds and bodies in the first place. The sad thing is, you all don't even entertain these options because we don't want evil guns in our schools and metal detectors would be unsightly. No, what it is that you don't want a visual representation of your reality. You just want to be able to continue living in your mental utopia where feeling safe is more important than being safe. We fooled ourselves into thinking that we have a right to feel safe, and we don't. We do, however, have a right to protect our lives. We are a victim of our success. We fooled ourselves into thinking that we are so progressive and civilized that we've somehow transcended the reach of evil, where virtue signaling and pacifism is more important than survival. The problem is, this threat isn't coming from the outside. There isn't some outside force shooting these schools up. It's our kids, fathers, brothers, cousins, and nephews. But you can't wrap your head around the fact that the threat is already in your house. So the idea of putting up metal detectors, having armed guards, and arming teachers is a constant reminder that no matter how progressive you become, you can't outprogress evil. You are still vulnerable, and there's nothing you can do about it except prepare. You can't march away evil, you can't shame evil away, and you can't talk to it nicely. All you can do is prepare for that moment as best as you can, so that when it rears its ugly head, you're in a position to fight it head on. Or in the case of school shootings, the people we entrust to take care of our kids can fight it head on. That's what guns allow us to do. Two things can be right at once. A gun can be used for good, and a gun can be used for bad. We need to grow up and understand that guns aren't going anywhere, and neither are evil people who do horrible things. So let's stop wasting our energy talking about ineffective gun control and start focusing on ways to actively save lives instead of moving air around the room about gun control. And while we're at it, let's also focus on why we're raising cold-blooded killers, because we've always had guns, but the kids in the past weren't shooting up schools like this.
Pro-life, who's right? Pro-choice. She screams her right and body life inside, no choice. No chairs turned to call it a voice, white noise. Man, she laid went, silent to avoid. Both make the baby, but she makes the choice. Like sitting in a 300 saying I'm in a Rolls Royce. Denial kicks the door in like a police raid. Fate to black the truth, a lie takes its place. She says, give me space, my womb is safe. 70 million bucks a year, it's not a life anyway. I know you don't wanna hear what I have to say, unless I'm cussing, sexing, flexing, and busting. You capping my speech while you vomit in the streets, then call me judgmental hater for my beliefs, and still you speak. Your voice is everywhere, from the view to the pew, and to you that's fair. Ain't no love in that, so I marvel not. Freedom of expression, leave me not, trouble not. Most until it's gone, then it'll be too late when you sing my song. Yeshua said there'd be days like this, folks telling me he's not who he says he is. Explain John chapter 8 to you, ignorance is bliss. The truth, it is what it is. Scandalous. Yeah. You know what? It's scandalous. Yeah. Yeah, it's scandal. All the while, your conscience is bearing witness. Romans 2:14 and 15, it's the business. We're suffering from a whole host of isms. Not your brandophobics, the end result still prison. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. You say I'm brainwashed by the church and oppressed, yet you invaded with no intention of sinning less. The church is not a building, though we gather in it. The truth is just my truth without the essentials in it. All the TV is biased, and when it's not, they're spinning it. That's scandalous.
Breakthrough Media.